Tekken after playing it for a couple of hours yesterday and to see how the game plays out as a whole, how the entire environment art is, how the character setup is, how everything else is. I could truly give a good evaluation of this game based on everything I've seen. I've played probably every single Tekken there is, which is probably an obvious for most people. But I'm really doing this video and reviewing my own personal thoughts with regards to this game in comparison to the other Tekken games. If it's even worth getting if you're a non-fighting fan, but you want to try out something new. I would say from this point, compared to the other Tekken games, the easiest way to describe it will be from two or three things. Obviously, the first ones, the earliest ones during the early 90s, aren't the ones you're gonna want to get. And plus, the systems don't run on these old games anymore, as you can see within the art from how they used to look from the past and how the polygons and everything was set up from the past. This is the original intro movie to this game. Okay, so that's kind of a rough idea of exactly where the game was from the beginning. How when he moved his shoulders, or how when the character moved their shoulders, or when they're walking or anything. Even like the animation here is very rough. If you look at the feet and everything, you can't see actually the bone structure with relations to the skin underneath. That's because polygons were made very janky and very not so smooth back then. This was during the time when the beginning of 3D animation in gaming, when it already existed, but it wasn't at a very high quality. It was still at a beginning quality, where you could mess some of the skin, or in this case, just the polygon itself, and then color over the polygons, and then make certain blurring effects based on the polygons themselves around the edges. Whereas now things around where the neckline is, meeting the jawline and stuff, would be more smooth, and linings, which are complete um, turns toward from the neck to the jaw, would be somewhat invisible at those areas as the jaw turns. We're looking towards the neck and the jaw itself. In the past, it wasn't like that. In the past, it was very janky and looked very stiff like this. But not only that, the environmental art as well. Less less obvious within the environment, more obvious within the character themselves, like the back structures to the character and the legs, the arms, even the hands. Everything was very stiff. Now, as the game went along, everything started to become much more fluid in step process. But from one to two, not much has changed. Simply the polygons were just improved from the last software used to create the characters here, and the polygons from software used to create the ones here. From what I could understand from the game, from once the original game came out to where the second game came out, there was a huge improvement, whether they used the same engine or a different, not the same engine, but whether they used the same software or a different software completely to create the 3D modeling effects. It could have been Adobe. It could have been a different type of software or personalized software that the Japanese keep in secret and lock and key. They never explain. Maybe now they have in comparison to the ones that they used to use. I mean, they explain the type of software they use in the past Tekken, but the recent ones they probably keep on the lock and key. But the point is that based on what I've seen from the original Tekken to 2 to 3, 4, 5, 6, going all the way up to 7, the improvements have always been slight. not vast improvements, with the exception from Tekken 1 to Tekken 2, which seem to have been very, like, they use it completely different software in comparison to the first one, where the first one looked very square and very cube. And I guess the following 2 years after, or however long it was, they got a better software to create the 3D modeling effects, especially on the female characters, like say June. 3D modeling effects of this character, as well as the environment, was very crisp and very smooth. Look how good this looks for something that came out all the way in the 90s, when polygons were just becoming a 3D modeling in game was still not so much of a thing, but was starting to become a big thing. For something that was just starting off to become a big thing, this is pretty good. With the neckline, within the smoothing around the curves, even with the environment of the art of the environment, where everything looks plain. I mean, the grass doesn't really look like grass, but the trees look. There were some details into the trees that looks good. Even the color effects. Even the horse itself, it looks real good for moving off the legs, arms, and neck. So from first Tekken to second Tekken, there was a huge improvement within the use of the software, and I would say that was the big change, the hugest change from the first to the second Tekken when it comes to the environmental art and the game art itself. When it came to Tekken 3, you saw slight improvements as well in comparison to the first two games. It was more smooth, and I believe it's the same software from the second one. It's just a more upgraded version of that. Um, like my favorite one is obviously the Brian Fury one, because you could see that most of it is taken at night to hide away a lot of the issues of the corners and neck. But it blended so well to the actually lighting on the face forward of the face, the shadows at the back, that you can't see a lot of problems when it's filmed at night, or when it's the design of the characters are actually constructed at night. You can't see a lot of problems. When it's the morning, you can see more issues. But as you can see, Brian Fury looks more smoother than, like say, a character like Law, because of it's during the nighttime. Now this is also during the night, but they go within a lit area. Now you can see it within the arms. They look like dolls and toys. But as you can see, the face of Law, how he originally looked to how he looks now, is much more smoother. The curves of the angles and the arms and legs are smoother, but the body still looks plastic. That's because the software didn't have a good rendering type of software for flesh color at the time, and the effects and particle effects on the skin weren't as smooth as it is now as it back then, so everything still looked plastic. But like in Brian Fury's case, even though it's very much plastic, just like the like Law's one, you can't see it as much because of the lighting and the grain, and the difference between light and day actually makes a huge difference. Putting a character into night in comparison to a character in day, where you can see more of the faults. You can't see the more plastic version of the character when they're in the dark in comparison to in the light. So you don't see them as much plastic type of color on the character. It looks more smooth when it's in the dark, but you can still see it looks very much polygon-like, especially when you're looking at the flesh. Even in the dark, it looks very polygon-like. You can doesn't actually look like flesh tones. But I would say from Tekken 1 to Tekken 2, that was the best improvement. Tekken 3 was just a little bit more upgraded to the software. Tekken 1 to 2, that was the best improvement, I would say, with regards to the game itself. With regards to Tekken 7, now we're talking about the most recent game, which is this one right here. Not only does the environmental art looks better, far more superior, which isn't obvious. Um, Lighting effects and everything looks more realistic. And the effects of the stuff, it could be Adobe that they used, it could be a different one. Not exactly sure, I didn't look into it. But the fabric colors, the characters, what they're wearing, the skin colors, the tone, the grain effects, um, the shatter, like they hide a lot of issues using grain, if you notice, on the skin as well as on the characters. And they use blurring effects to blur out a lot of things that shows problems. And they use the darks to hide away a lot of issues. Like look at the grain on the face and the color of the skin and curvatures. It's more realistic because now they could work with more rather than a little. And the holes within the face and everything. Now they could have done that in the past, but the software didn't demand for actually going close up into the details of the arms and legs and face and curvatures, so that it could actually create certain smoothing effects because they didn't have the software wasn't at that point to that level able to do such things. So it's an obvious that from 1 to 7 that you will obviously pick the most recent one to show the best effects and the best use of the games if you want to see visuals while you're playing the game as well as while you're watching cinematics. It's the most obvious. Everything that comes out is always more recent, more up to date, and more interesting. But the whole point of this video is to state this game with regards to my thoughts on this game in comparison to other Tekken games and other fighting games. Is it worth buying simply because of the visuals? What about the gameplay? What about the customization? What about the effects? What about the movements? So from a visual point of view, it's a vast improvement from, let's say, from where it was in Tekken like 4 to where it is right now in Tekken 7. Now 4 didn't come out like too long ago. It was still in like the late 2010s, or maybe it was in I don't even remember. But the point is, it was in the 21st century. It wasn't something that came out in the 90s and anything, and it wasn't like in the late versions of the 21st century, like around from anywhere from after 2010 to now. That's when the Tekken 5, 6, and 7 had come out, and I would say from Tekken 4 to Tekken 7. The improvements isn't mostly within how the character's body and the setup of the body and everything looks with regards to the characters themselves. I would say more with regards to um hey look, this look like something straight out of Tekken 3. This polygon straight out of something 3. But this is Tekken 4. So if you look at the time frame from which Tekken 4 to Tekken 7 with in-game stuff or just in-game animation of things happening in-game, the in-game animation, in-game structure of the faces and everything looks almost as realistic as the intro movies themselves because they're able to fix it to that degree now where they could get into the smallest cracks and grooves that makes it more logical when you're looking at it. However, certain things are still off place, like the neck. His neck is incredibly big for his facial structure. It's too big that they didn't make it as realistic. Whereas if you go into the movie, it's more realistic with regards to neck effects. So they still are off, and that's a standard thing with all Tekken games. Their movies, in-game movies, is not on par with the intro movies because that's how they sell the game. But with regards to Tekken, I would say Tekken 7, with regards to all the other ones, Tekken 7 does a better job with everything that works because the software is more updated. So from a visual point of view, Tekken 7 would be the best Tekken to get from a visual point of view when it comes to details of how everything looks, special effects, sound effects, grain, and everything. Well, not just because it's the latest game, it's because the improvement from Tekken, like say Tekken 6, like say from Tekken 6 to Tekken 7 isn't that much of a vast difference if you look at it. But from a female point of view, it's not much of a vast difference. But from the male point of view, and from a male point of view, it looks the same. Looks just like Tekken 6, Tekken 7. It just looks it just, I mean, it looks the same, but it still looks a little like plastic, like you're playing with a toy. Like the characters still look plastic in the face, and the body still look plastic, even with the grain effects. They're just slight differences off from Tekken 7 and Tekken 6. So if you want to go for exact, or like exact, very more realistic than any other Tekken, when it comes to image of faces and body structure, as well as the color of the skin, like say the grain and cracks in the skin, Tekken 7 is the one that you will go for more than anything, even depending on the light. Even when it comes to lighting effects. See, see, his face still looks like very plastic, like he's been sweating a lot. When the light hits the polygon, I mean, when the light hits the flesh itself, there's nothing that they could really do about it because they haven't. The wet structure of the human face is something they have to take the wet structure of the face and pull away from the wet structure of the face itself. That means you have to water it down. And I hate to use the word water, but you have to dumb it down or dull it out. So when the face looks like it has a wet structure in the face, like the body and arms, a reflection of the light on the skin, and it looks wet, you have to slowly pull back on it to make it not look wet. You have to make it look like it's paper. You have to make the skin look paper, but not so much paper that it looks like a 2D animation like Street Fighter. You have to pull it away just enough so it looks almost paper, but it has some far wet effects on it. And that's one of the issues with all the Tekkens. That's why I say Tekken 7 is the one that gets more closer to it than any other. Because no matter which Tekken you go to, they all still look plastic in shape and form, as well as in effects. The most majority, probably the best thing that's improved through all the Tekken more than anything else is probably just the environmental art and special effects. That's it. But regards to the art from Tekken, that's the one that you want to pick. This is the best Tekken simply because not only is the most updated one, but it's the most recent one that looks more realistic than any other Tekken. So from an artistic point of view, this is the Tekken that you'll want to go for. From a music point of view, this is not the Tekken that you want to go to. I would say Tekken 3 and Tekken Tag, from a music point of view, has done a far more superior job than any other Tekkens from the past and from the present. So from a music point of view, um, Tekken 3, Tekken Tag, and Tekken 5, I believe, have done the best job with regards to music and music effects. And so from, I say in Tekken 7, if I shuffle Tekken 7's music and accept it as the main music for the game, it's about average. It's not that great. In fact, I would say it's poor in that regards when it comes to Tekken. So, from an improvement point of view, the music for the game hasn't really improved that much. It's only become awesome in certain things, but majority in comparison to other Tekken, it's not that great. When it comes to customization, on the other hand, customization of the characters within this Tekken 7 in comparison to other Tekken is far more superior and vast than any other Tekkens before it. And it gets lots of props and points for that because you could do so much with the customization of the characters now than you ever could before in the past. There's so much customization within Tekken characters, it seems rather ridiculous that they invest so much time within customization. It's not like For Honor where you invest so much within an actual emblem and have variations of an M, different color, different designs. No, it's various different art of various different things. Like this hat looks different than this hat. This hat looks different than this hat. It's not simply the same hat, but different indentations and inscriptions and the insignias placed upon the hat. They are totally different designs altogether. So you will always get a different type of customization superior towards any other game I've seen before. Maybe in something like, say, um, I forgot what's the name of that game. It's a Japanese RPG game. It's like Bloodbourne. Um, I don't remember it off the back of my head. Eh, so it took my tongue. Something of vein, Code Vein. Yeah, Code Vein customization, I would say, is far more superior. But when it comes to good customization, that you could choose many, many things to do within this fighting game. Tekken is one on the top five. I would say in the top five of customization when it comes to customize a character, put anything on your character to change up the skin. I mean, not actually change up the skin color, but to change the actually makeup on the face. And basically anything you put on the character can be improved. However, the bad thing about Tekken 7 customization is that you cannot elongate the skin, can't elongate the hands, you can't elongate the face. And that's okay because the people who made the game don't want you to change the physical structure of the character. They only want you to change certain things on the character. Um, Only bad thing I would say with regards to customization in Tekken in comparison to other games, you can't change the skin color of the character. You could change the hair color, you could change the clothing color, you could change what they're wearing. You could change what kind of customization that they have in both their backs or on the sides, what they have in their hands, on their face, but you can't change their skin color. So the customization of Tekken, I would say, would be like an 8 out of 10 when it comes to customization, and 2 minus points for not being able to customize the body or an original character of your own to your own decision, and the other has to do with the inability to change skill color. So skin color, and I'll say it's about only those two things. That's why I say Tekken is still in the top five when it comes to customization because they offer you so much more interesting things. And the only two negatives is elongation of the body or skin color, and that's about it. Anything else is probably not that necessary. But Tekken is always been on my top five of customization because there's so much you could play with, and so you can make your character look so much so ridiculous. And there's so many characters you could choose from. It could literally take you all day to try to customize every single character in this game. Like it's ridiculous. So they get high points for customization in this game. So from the actually art style of the game to the actual customization of the game, I would say it gets a full 2 points for that. And maybe like um, when it comes to the music, like not even a point five for that, maybe to like a point two because the music from Tekken 5, Tekken 3, and Tekken Tag are far more superior to this music of Tekken 7. At least that's how I see it. So this game is already like a 2.2 in my book. Um, I like the idea of the including jukebox music that you could select any list and that you could create your own list, playlist of shuffle. That's superior to me, and that will add another 2 points to that point two for lack of music with the game itself. But your ability to customize your own music is I guess not a point two, an extra point two. I was like that's a point five. I gave it a point two for the music overall in comparison to other Tekken games. For your ability to customize your own music or add your own playlist, it's already a point five for that. How many games allow you to make your own playlist within the game? Not many. So I would add a point five for that. So right now my Tekken is already at a 2.8 overall, and 10 being the highest as a game. So it's already at a 2.8. Uh, Not only for the art form, but for the customization of your the music choice you want to actually have when you're listening to and playing the game for your intro screen. But in comparisons to other music from other Tekken, it's not that great, but it still holds up just about a little. So I'm already at a 2.8 with regards to the game. Now, when I was playing the game before to see the different moves, compared to something like Mortal Kombat or something like Virtua Fighter or something like Street Fighter, I would say it's on the level of Street Fighter, but not on the level of Mortal Kombat or Virtua Fighter. Those games are, when it comes to button mashing and getting proper combination, are far more superior. But this is a mid-based fighting combination game, which is difficult, but not so difficult that it's a pain in the ass. And any game that's so difficult is a pain in the ass that you don't want to play it, and that is not made for everyone. It's the game that is not going to do that well for everyone. It only does that well for certain specific people, but not for everyone. So I would say when it comes to Street Fighter and Tekken, they're superior to, say, Mortal Kombat or Virtua Fighter simply because they allow for an open possibility of more people to play the game who aren't really into games. So they already get high points for that in its itself to set up this button combination and button mash in a fight. It's more feasible that you can execute it if you do it right. And as well as the blocking mechanics is also more superior than other games where you have to press a button in order to do a block. So that in and of itself gives like an additional full 1 point when it comes to other games because it's the reason why Tekken has stayed within the fighting arena for so long. It's difficult and it's hard to get off combos, but it's not so difficult that it'll piss off people. And people love to play fighting games, but fighting games that are well balanced. And this is one of those fighting games that are well balanced that appeal to everyone as well as the hardcore fans as well and hardcore gamers, the noobs and the hardcore people. So it gets a full point for that. So I'm already at 3.8. So I haven't actually found anything that's too bad about the games other than certain small details. The game also offers you my replay and tips, which I haven't actually done, and I haven't actually recorded anything with regards to that. Um, I have no replay saves because I haven't saved it while I was fighting in the game, but it gives you the ability to replay something over and over again to see what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong as in combat. So that even if you go away even if you go away from the game for a while and then come back, you will remember what you had because it's saved within the game. And you could see how you played it and what moves you did in order to win or what moves you didn't do and then you lost. So I like this inclusion into the game. It's not that big a deal, but it's a nice little inclusion that makes the game more interesting. I'll give that like a full point one for this. Not a full one, but a point one for this. Is it that great? No, not that great. Is it that necessary? Not that necessary. But it is that helpful. So maybe not like a point one, maybe a point two. So I'll give it another point two for that instead of a one now that I think about it. Because it's very helpful for the people who really want to learn. So I would say it's a point two, not incredibly necessary, but also helpful. Maybe it's necessary for everyone else, but for some people it might not be. Some people might not even mess with it at all. But I say I'll give it a point two for that. So now I was at a 3.8, now I'm at a full four. So the offline and online is the most fun thing of the game out of all. Because if you don't want to play with other people, you have the arcade battle, which is very simple. Treasure battle, which is more difficult, and it goes up. Arcade and battle and treasure battle goes up as you higher. The more you fight, the more difficult the game. Remember your settings for that type of character. The more difficult your opponents get with regards to the game. Versus battle is used against friends, and practice is very well done within the game. I've used practice, and I've chosen characters from practice. As seen in other games, and the button setup for practice mode is the same as it's always been. For every practice of every Tekken, a screen pops up, a character can be selected. You select the character, you select the opponent, and the menu setup for practice for both you and the CPU is well done. Because you put your CPU character in any mode that you want to keep them in order to see and check on a certain type of move. You want them to be standing to just take hits, so they don't have to hit you, so you could get all certain moves. Great. You want them to be in crouch mode so that you could execute an attack in crouch mode based on the requirements of the move list. Great. You want to be in rage mode. In order to do an attack, you switch those buttons on to rage mode, so you could be in rage mode to do a rage mode attack. And you go straight into your menus, and let's see, CPU. I could put CPU in neutral mimic. You could also mimic your let your CPU mimic your moves in order to see if your punches and your kicks are faster than your opponent's punches and kicks, and how you can work around that based on the type of opponent you're going to be fighting. So you know what character to pick to get the faster punch and the faster kickoff, as well as blocking and random guard every now and again. So the character just doesn't stand in place but also blocks, as well as crouch and follow, as well as other move sets. And also you can restart all settings. Like if you don't want your settings to be the way it is, you can restart it from its original stage, the player directions, as well as the positions of what you want your actual character to start off with. I think that's one of the best things for this Tekken overall, and I give it a full point for that. That its actual practice setting is far more superior than everything within the game itself. Practice mode has really improved since Tekken 4. You can set them to counter hit every time you do a hit. You can check out your move settings. You can actually display move settings while it's on the screen. You can choose punishment training. It will ask you what type of punishment you want, normal or hard. If you don't like the normal settings, you can also exit out of punishment training at any time. You can set up the controllers the way you want based on the button mashing capabilities. If you feel uncomfortable that your punches and your kicks aren't the right buttons for you, even if you're a beginner, you can set it up the way you want. Or you could go down here and restore to previous settings back to default. Or restore the whole thing to previous settings of the whole list. Or check button inputs and look at it based on the inputs. Right, left, up, down, left, up, side, sideways. Punch, punch. This is X. This is square. This is triangle. This is circle. Just investigate on what you're trying to do before you do it. The game also gives you sample combos of how much damage you could execute from one ability, and how much damage you would do if you do that combination. Also, you can set up that on the screen. Choose random, random. Switch positions. You can also make a simple choice from a menu rather than go to a full detail one. This is one of the ones I like the best. Rather than go through all that huge list, you can choose characters simply this way. Choose settings simply this way. Default presets 1, default 1. You can choose what side you want to be on, left, right side. And you can confirm it, and you can do the same thing and confirm it, and then it'll start it over again. And now she's over here. And you could put it back to restart it to original position, current position. and then put it back to default. Originally, you have to set that up. And yeah, I would say that's about the best thing with regards to the Tekken. You can exit out the menu. I give this game a full 1 for that. So we're now at a 5. And the story mode isn't that great. So I like took like 5 points off for the story mode. I think it's quite garbage. It's not completely horrible, but it's bad. It's not terrible, but it's as the other ones, but it's somewhat bad. So I took 5 points off for that. So I'm at like a 4.5. But the online battle is what's the most superior thing next to practice, because practice is the best thing that they add to the game. Or the online battle is where you want to go to if you want to fight tournaments with other characters. You could either do player match, you could do rank match based on your rank, and you could enter tournaments and have random battles. You could check your leadership board and check your PlayStation trophies of people that receive trophies or trophies that you receive yourself. But you have to join certain tournaments and see certain things, read the rules and so on and so forth, and confirm it. Find a tournament, play a tournament, and you could choose to do so at any time. But that's completely up to you. If you don't want to do that, you can play by rank or play by just player match itself. Do quick match, do search sessions, and that's one of the great things about Tekken. It's very simple in that regard. So both online and offline are very superior to, especially in the practice setup. So I'll give the game another full 1 point for that. So originally I was at 5, then I took it about 5 points down for the story mode, which was kind of garbage, and now I'm about a full point up for the online section, which I tried on my offline time. So I mean, not on my offline time, but on my recording time. So now I'm at a 6.5 with regards to the game itself. So from story, isn't that great? This is great. This is great. So if you were to give points to one, this is 1 point. This is 1 point. This is point 2. Customization is a full 1 point. Jukebox, I would say that's a point 5, because you could customize your own music, and everything is pretty much at like a 6.5 overall. Now, with regards to options, both music, sound, direction, and everything, that's also at like a 4.5. I won't get into the details of how detailed it gets, but it gets pretty detailed when it comes to sound. And not sound itself, but when it comes to the menu of everything from the options menu, from the game options, which is simple, from sound options, which is simple, from control setups, which is also simple, and to the display settings, which is also simple. Now you can access all of this from when you go into practice sections as well. You see credits, copyrights, credits. All this stuff is simple. So the points for this is like a point. I wouldn't even call it point, but at least it gives you the options. I would say on another point too. So now I'm at a 6.2 overall. PlayStation information is not something that's that important unless you want to learn about certain PlayStation information. And PlayStation Store that will take you outside the game, in person PlayStation VR mode, which is fun. I've played this in VR mode with someone at their house before. It's fun, but it's not that great, to be honest with you. I would say is that in comparison to playing by controller on PC, the VR mode isn't that great, but it's at a point 0.5. So I would place Tekken at with the VR mode as at a not even at a point 0.5. I would say that like it's at a point 0.4. So now I'm at uh, it's between a 6.5 and a 7. I mean, I took it up to like a 7 before, but I would say the VR mode kind of takes it away somewhat. So I would bring it back to like a 6.4 or 6.5 as a game overall. Now Tekken Bowl is very enjoyable. It's very fun, and it's a good way to kill time, and it's very interesting, and it's always been fun. And in this Tekken Bowl, you can create player matches between normal and Heihachi pin, the type of difficulty of the bowling that you want. So it's up to you. So from the bowling point of view, is the bowling is very fun. So I would say overall Tekken is like a 7.7 7.2 game to a 7.5. Not even. I would say Tekken 7 is a 7 point. Yeah, I would say it's a 7.2. An overall game, Tekken 7 is a 7.2. In comparison to Tekken 3, in comparison to Tekken Tag, it's a 7.2. Yeah, I suck at this. The whole point of this game is it's just like Tekken. It's like playing a fighting game, but you're not fighting. You're fighting against the pinballs to get everything correct to get a combo off the way you want it to be. Sometimes you completely miss. Sometimes you hit one, sometimes you hit the whole thing. It's very fun. It's very relaxing, very fun. So I won't go into the detail of this. But I say overall, in comparison to other Tekken games, Tekken 7 is anywhere from a 7 to a 7.2 overall. But when you get to the online competition, you might actually have more fun in the online competition. That might knock it up from the 7.2 to a 7.5. But I don't think this game is beyond a 7.5, to be honest with you. In comparison to Tekken 3, in comparison to Tekken Tag, in comparison to Tekken 5, the best part of this game is the inclusion of the DLC characters, and the best part is the ending story to Heihachi and Kazuya. Those are the things that make the story great. The story isn't that powerful, that's why I gave it a point 0.5. But the characters of Heihachi, Kazuya's ending, where Heihachi finally dies, so on and so forth, is that's the great part of the story. The setup to the story wasn't that great, but the ending towards a legacy is great, as well as the animation towards the fight scenes and the story leading to that was great. That's why I guess a point 0.5 and doesn't get lower. But as a fighting game overall, it's a very superior fighting game. It's well above 5, but it's not above like say 8, 9, or 10. I would say if you really love Tekken, you could get it up to an 8. But for me, Tekken is like in the 7.5 bracket, or 7.2 to 7.5 bracket. It's not better than Tekken 3. It's not better than Tekken Tag. As an enjoyment from you and friends and so on and so forth. It's not, to me, it's not better than Tekken 5 either. But it is better than Tekken 6. It is better than Tekken Tournament 2. It is better than Tekken 4. Yeah, as in online tournament, it's better than those Tekken. Better than Tekken 4, better than Tekken and Tekken Tekken 5 Tournament 2. It's better than Tekken 6. So it's better than the previous Tekkens from 4 leading up to 6. But it's just shortly, very, very, very slightly under Tekken 5. Not as superior as 5 was. Only superior in 5 in certain regards towards animation, in regards towards the ending of a legacy, in regards to... So from a Tekken 5 to a Tekken 7, I would say Tekken 5 and Tekken 7 on equal plane when it comes to a game. Neither 5 or 7 are more superior than each other, and 7 is, I would say, is slightly above 5, just slightly above 5 with regards to the story, in regards to the online battle. But in regards to them in comparison to each other, they're pretty much the same. So that's pretty much everything I got to say with regards to my thoughts with regards to Tekken. I say this game is about a 7.2 to about a 7.5 overall. I don't think it's an 8, 9, and definitely it's not a 10. I think it's missing certain things that make it a 8, missing certain things that make it a 9, and missing certain things that make it a 10. And you can get this up to an 8 based on online battle and enjoyment factor. But I don't think even if you get it up to an 8, it will ever go beyond an 8. It's not like Mortal Kombat, and it's not like Street Fighter, and it's not like Super Smash Brothers. Those games have certain things specific to them that make them enjoyable overall to just random casuals as well as experts. It's very fun. But Tekken is something that everyone could get into, and is always going to be in the top 5 of greatest fighting games. In fact, it's probably the third greatest fighting games of all time, where Mortal Kombat would probably be the number 1, Street Fighter would probably be number 2, and then Tekken would fall into number 3 slot. Super Smash Bros. Would probably fall into number 4 slot, and Virtua Fighter would fall into number 5th spot, simply because Virtua Fighter is an incredibly difficult game, and you gotta respect the fact that it's not for the weak. So you automatically put it in the 5th spot simply because it's a badass. So that's it. That's my description with regards to Tekken as a game overall. I'll probably play someone online. I'll probably get my ass kicked. Probably do a quick match. Probably get my ass kicked, but it's for fun. Actually, what I need to do is damn, I can't do anything about this. I need to turn up the volume. I forgot to turn up the volume. So when the fight starts, you won't be able to hear it. I only lowered the volume to actually give a description of the game itself. What the hell is this? Okay, so it's not tournament. All right, so let me exit out, turn up the volume a little, and then keep it quiet from here on forward. Now, the one thing I got to say bad about tournament, maybe I should just exit out of here. Now, the one thing I got to say bad about tournament is that for tournament, you got to wait. It's like a waiting list. Wait till the game set up everything, everyone network connections connect up, and then you be able to get into a tournament with others. Sometimes you might not like that. Sometimes it might not be for you. So in this case, I won't do tournament because that'll take too damn long. I go offline and I'll do a treasure battle.
Welcome to the King of Iron Fist Tournament 7. Akuma. Round 1. Fight. Round 2. Fight. Round 1. Fight. Round 2. Fight. KO. Fight. Round 2. Fight. You win. Round 1. Fight. Great. Round 2. Fight. KO. Final round. Fight. KO. You win. Round 1. Fight. KO. Round 2. Fight. Round 2. Fight. Final round. Fight. KO. You win. Welcome to the King of Iron Fist Tournament 7. Katarina Alves. Round 1. Fight. KO. Round 2. Fight. KO. Final round. Fight.
Corre de volta pra sua mamãe.
Round one. Fight. KO. Round two. Fight. You win.
Você tem técnica, mas não tem alma.
Round one. Fight. KO. Round two. Fight. KO. Final round. Fight. KO. You win.
Você tem técnica, mas não tem alma.
Kazuya Mishima. Round one. Fight. KO. Round two. Fight. Fight. KO. Round 2. Fight. KO. Round 1. Fight. KO. Round 2. Fight. KO. You win. Round 1. Fight. KO. Round 2. Fight. KO. You win. Round 1. Fight. KO. Round 2. Fight. the King of Iron Fist Tournament 7. Brian Fury. Round 1. Fight. Round 2. Fight. You win. Round 1. Fight. Round 2. Fight. You win. Welcome to the King of Iron Fist Tournament 7. Round 1. Fight. KO. Round 2. Fight. Welcome to the King of Iron Fist Tournament 7. Round one. Fight. KO. Round two. Fight. KO. You win. Round one. Fight. KO. Round two. Fight. KO. You win.
I hope your affairs are in order.
Round one. Fight. KO. Round two. Fight. KO. You win. Welcome to the King of Iron Fist Tournament 7.